Resuming debate, the honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Before I start, I'd like to indicate I'll be sharing my time with the member for Wellington-Halton Hills. Thank you very much.
It's always an honor to rise in this House and to speak, and especially on this important motion that we have before us today, which is, of course, our Opposition Day motion. And before I get started, Madam Speaker, I'd like to give some credit. I am a shameless team promoter. I love this team, Madam Speaker. I'll say it time and time again. I want to give credit to the member from Mission Matsqui Fraser Canyon for all of the incredible work that he did in the last Parliament on this file, Madam Speaker. And in fact, his work was used as the basis for a lot of our platform development, which actually received accolades from many groups across this country for the great ideas within our platform regarding housing. And I wish him the best in the Asia-Pacific development file as he continues on. And of course, wish the best for the residents and all residents of BC as they come out of this difficult time they've been going through. I'd also, Madam Speaker, like to recognize the wonderful Member of Parliament from Edmonton Riverbend who gave me the honor of speaking here today. I don't know if you know this, Madam Speaker. He's actually the father of 3 children, including the beautiful baby Hugh. And so, you know, he knows this issue very well because he's a family man. And in fact, I have family that lives in his riding. I've mentioned that to him before. And so this affects him and his family, and this affects everyone in his community. So I'm really happy to see him taking the charge on this motion and on this discussion here today. Madam Speaker, I'll also say I held this file actually under Families, Children and Social Development when I served as the Shadow Minister in that role. And with that as well, Madam Speaker, I'd like to recognize the new member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake. What a fireball. I love that lady. A new mother and a strong voice for her constituents and for Albertans. But Madam Speaker, when she got this role, I told her that this file is hard. And this file is hard because I'll tell you what I saw, Madam Speaker, when I held that role of Families, Children and Social Development, and the housing file was still under that file. I saw a government traipse across the country, announce new housing initiatives, pat themselves on the back, and call it a day. And, you know, they would make outrageous claims, Madam Speaker. In fact, the Minister for Diversity, Inclusion and Youth of Canada continues to make these claims. He would say things, for example, on November 29th of this year. Mr. Speaker, every Canadian deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. Since we came into office, we have helped over 1 million families get the housing that they need. He also said, Madam Speaker, on December 7th, 2021, we will keep working to make sure every Canadian has an affordable place to call home. Well, Madam Speaker, that is not what I saw in my role at that time. I read the files, I looked around my community, and Madam Speaker, I saw 2 things. I saw a government destroying my local economy, with glee, I'll add, Madam Speaker, forcing businesses and residents to vacate buildings because all the business was gone and all the jobs had been lost. And these buildings, Madam Speaker, were being purchased by the government for a song, being turned into subsidized housing, and then the government declaring a victory. This is what I saw time and time again. I'll repeat that. They would destroy the economy, force all the businesses to close, take all the good jobs away, purchase the buildings for a song, turn them into subsidized housing, and say, we did a great job. Terrible. There are no winners in that model, Madam Speaker. So while this government was passing C-69, the No More Pipelines bill, C-48, the Tanker Moratorium bill, and the Clean Fuel Standard, jumping and cheering and drinking out of their soggy paper straws, my constituents were suffering. They were wondering, can I keep my house? Will I have to move in with my sister? How am I going to make rent this month? But this government didn't care, Madam Speaker. They'd show up on this floor week after week claiming victory. The second thing I saw, Madam Speaker, was that all of these government programs that the government was claiming victory over was the result of 2 things: a poor economy and higher taxation. Every single benefit, every single program where I considered, why would Canadians need this? Why would Canadians need this program? It always came back to no jobs or no good jobs, every single program. So while this government was destroying the economy, killing good jobs, and taxing Canadians with one hand, they were handing out a measly little portion of what they had killed and collected with their other hand. But what could Canadians do? Say no to the small amount that was offered to them? There were no jobs to go back to. There were certainly no good jobs to go back to, no good jobs to go back to. Madam Speaker, I have the best riding in all of Canada. Calgary-Midnapore was built on the backs of the generation that fueled this nation for decades, Communities thrived in lakes and parks that were created by a love of what they did and what it meant for Canada. But Madam Speaker, that all started to change 6 years ago. Jobs became scarce, business went away, out of province, out of country, and people had to turn to these benefits. Madam Speaker, they had no choice, and they were grateful because their jobs were gone. And I'm starting to worry, Madam Speaker, that some are getting conditioned to believe that they don't deserve any better. And now, Madam Speaker, we add affordability and inflation to this mix. Madam Speaker, Canadian housing affordability deteriorated for a third consecutive quarter in Q3 2021. The mortgage payment on a representative home as a percentage of income rose 1.7 points after a 3.2 increase in Q2 2021. Seasonally adjusted home prices increased 4.6% in Q3 2021 from Q2 2021, while median household income rose only 0.8%. Affordability deteriorated in all 10 marks covered in Q3 on a sliding scale of markets from worst deterioration to least: Vancouver, Victoria, Toronto, Ottawa-Gatineau, Hamilton, Montreal, Calgary, Quebec, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. That was the third consecutive quarter with a worsening in every single market, in all those markets. Countrywide affordability deteriorated 0.7% in the condo portion versus a 2.3% deterioration in the non-condo segment. Prices continued their relentless upward trajectory, rising 4.6% in the quarter and 18.6% year on year. That annual figure, Madam Speaker, was the most it has been since 1989, Madam Speaker, since 1989, before I graduated high school in Calgary-Midnapore, Madam Speaker. Let's talk about inflation, Madam Speaker. There is hardly a commodity which has not been untouched. Natural gas is up 18.7%, Madam Speaker. Gasoline is up 41.7%. I certainly think twice before I decide, I have to go and fill my car, it's time. Ground beef is up 8.2%, Madam Speaker. Sausages are up 11.3%, Madam Speaker. Steak is up 13.6%, Madam Speaker. I know I examined the cuts way more thoroughly now before making my choices at the grocery market. Eggs, not even a direct meat product, is up 7.4%. Butter, another Canadian staple, up 5.5%. Syrup, up 11.6%. Coffee, up 3.7%. Chicken up 8.3%. Madam Speaker, I remember a year ago I could buy a whole bird, the whole bird and nothing but the whole bird, for $10. Now, Madam Speaker, it's $14 when I go to the grocery store. So, Madam Speaker, this government, they want to claim victory on this file, but I won't let them. They destroyed our economy, they took away the good jobs, they increased taxation, and they want to pat themselves on the back. I won't let them. And neither will Canadians. Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments, the Honourable Member for Kingston and the Islands.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm still processing a lot of that. I have a question. I have a question here for the member. So, this motion that her colleague and the Conservatives put forward today suggests that we consolidate all of the land that the federal government owns and then make 15% of it available for housing. But if you actually look at the math, and if you go to Statistics Canada, you can see exactly where they get their number of 41 million hectares of land available. And of that, 97% of it is in Parks Canada, Environment Canada, and National Defence. So my question to the member is, to get to 15%, and assuming we got rid of all the other land that the federal government has, the remaining 3%, what 12% of Parks Canada, Environment Canada, and National Defence would she like to see disposed of for affordable housing?
For Calgary Midnapore.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And that question is just totally irrelevant to everything that I talked about. You know, it doesn't even matter about the parkland and where we're going to get the parkland or what parkland we're going to take. And we love conservation. Conservatives were, in fact, the original conservators. Like, it's but we love nature. But, you know, I do know what this government will continue to do. They'll continue to destroy the economy so that they can get those buildings and they can have more affordable housing for Canadians through taking away their jobs. That's not a solution, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Comments, questions et commentaires honorables.
The Honourable Member for Longueuil, Saint-Hubert. Thank you, Madam Speaker. In the motion today, I have the feeling that behind it, the Conservatives, what they want to do is to reproach the Liberal governments over the increase of everything and nothing. But one of the major issues related to housing is the fact that it is subject to speculation, that this is something that people use to make money on the financial markets. That's the major problem. Is it not time that we change up all the government programs to ensure that we take housing out of this speculative market, that we allow community groups that know the issue to help so we can help the most vulnerable?
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. After having listened to the question asked by my colleague, I think that we share the same idea. That is, that the most important thing to people is to have housing. And for that, we need a good economy, a lot of good jobs for Canadians. I think that we agree with these ideas. So thank you very much for the question. And I think that we agree that it's important to have a good economy, a lot of jobs, so that Canadians can have housing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And Malahat Langford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate my colleague from Calgary Midnapore. In my riding of Couch and Malahat Langford, the market has failed my residents, and it is failing residents. I mean, we are regularly seeing houses overbid by $100,000. And I'm just wondering why the Conservatives didn't take this opportunity to make mention of an Indigenous housing strategy, of making a commitment to building non-market affordable housing. Because in my neck of the woods, and I think this is the same for right across Canada, this is the type of housing that's in demand. I mean, people just cannot afford to go out and buy a house. They need something that is non-market and affordable, and that is actually going to resolve their needs right now.
For Calgary Midnapore.
Well, thank you very much to my colleague, and I can hear certainly that his constituents are facing the same problems, which I referenced in my speech, which many Canadians are facing from coast to coast to coast. And I'm not sure if the member unfortunately missed the beginning part of my speech, where I gave credit, in fact, to our member from Mission Matsqui, Fraser Canyon, who developed incredible platform contributions regarding this specific piece and Indigenous housing in particular, which actually received accolades from Indigenous communities across the country. So again, I can see with my House colleagues from both the Bloc and the NDP, we have the shared objectives of a better life and housing for all Canadians.